Hello, and welcome to an all-new episode of Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara, and we're joining you today from Tucson Village Farm off Roger Road, a place you may have been by in the car, but you're not really sure what's happening here. Well, it's pretty cool, and we're going to show you. And we also have stories about Makeway for books, the housing crisis, and contemporary photography, so please stay tuned. We'll show you how this farm is growing food, fun, and community.
Learning life and leadership skills along the way. And that's really what we want to do, is have a young person connect with the farm and then grow just as the farm does.
Learn the craft of writing while helping others learn to read with Makeway for books.
Is help us to create original books that really do have a real, tangible impact, a lasting impact in our community.
A local park is at the nexus of the housing crisis.
Really kind of give the park a facelift and then be in that space and use that space as a point of community connection and a place to have these conversations.
And an exhibition at the Tucson Museum of Art explores the ever-expanding medium of photography.
Photography has become so important as a medium. It's not a standalone, it's an integral part of the contemporary art expression and experience.
Now, fresh fruits and vegetables like this head of lettuce or these artichokes growing here are highly recommended for your health. We're at the big section of the Tucson Village Farm, an area that used to be used as a turf grass research program, but is now being used to teach people how to grow and enjoy their own fruits and produce.
My name's Elizabeth Sparks. I am a 4-H Youth Development Associate Agent. And this is a special bechamel because it's got our Magdalena big cheese squash in it. Tucson Village Farm is a 4-H program, and 4-H is the youth development program for all land-grant universities. So for us, the University of Arizona is a land-grant university, and so we are the outreach component of the university for young people ages 5 to 19.
All right, that's a good size.
4-H is in every single county across the entire United States, and it is the biggest youth-serving organization because of its connection to all of those land-grant universities.
Oh, it's sweet. What is this one? This is the Dino Kale, also called Tuscan Kale. Okay.
I am Kathy McDonald. I do sign language interpreting for the deaf, and we're part of a homeschool group that came out to the farm today. We've never been here before, but I think it's really good for us to be able to learn how to get our hands dirty and planting and harvesting and exposing the kids to being able to learn different things about how to garden and agriculture and things that we just don't know in general.
I feel like an actual farmer because I get to harvest, clean them, and put them in baskets.
That one's a nice one, yes.
Oh, this one's a good one.
Ooh, yes it is. Good job.
I ate a beetroot leaf and the stem of it.
And what did you think about that?
It tasted like a leaf. That's why I said.
It's kind of
Tastes like a leaf.
It tastes like a leaf.
That tastes like
Many people know about Tucson Village Farm's Little Farm, and that is across from Trader Joe's right on Campbell. And so in 2020, we expanded to the big farm, which is here off of Roger and Campbell, just a short distance from Campbell itself. Any day of the week, you could find an assortment of programs happening for young people. Specifically on Tuesdays, we have our market where the community can come and buy produce that we have either grown or things that we have created in our commercially certified kitchen.
I heard about it today. Just this morning, I was looking for a vegetable that I've read about called kaleette, which is a hybrid with kale and Brussels sprouts as a sprout. And I Googled and they said that it would be sold here. But I just found out that it's not going to be ready for 3 weeks, so I'll be back again in 3 weeks. This is way bigger in here than I thought it would be. We drive Campbell all the time, and so it's a lot more involved in here than I thought it would be, so yeah.
Youth development is my background, and my degrees are in education and environmental science. And I tried to be an indoor classroom teacher, and I felt like a caged bird. So it's really all about getting young people outside and having them find their true potential. Learning life and leadership skills along the way. And that's really what we want to do, is have a young person connect with a farm and then grow just as the farm does. So we're really growing more than vegetables. We like to say that we're growing good kids as well.
Just this patch. The other leaf lettuce isn't ready yet, and then down there will be our spicy mustard greens. My name is Lily McGrath. I am currently a U of A student worker here at the Tucson Village Farm. My parents found the Tucson Village Farm summer camp when I was 6 years old, and now I'm 19 and I'm still here, have been every single day pretty much. It's taught me so many useful skills like leadership, teamwork, public speaking, and I just feel like I'm better off than I would be without the farm.
Good job, baby girl.
One of our main missions at Tucson Village Farm is to teach people how to grow, prepare, and eat fresh food. We know that as Americans, we're not eating enough vegetables each and every day. So the farm's here to teach people how to make vegetables delicious. And one way is to pull them right out of the ground and take them home. Our intent is to give the vegetables back to the young people that come for programming. But when we have extra, then that's when we want it to go to the community.
I first volunteered at the Tucson Village Farm at the MLK Day of Service in 2022 and immediately just fell in love with the space. So I was like, I could spend way too much time here. How can I spend a bunch of time here? And signed up for the AmeriCorps program. I have been serving for 3 terms now, over 2 years, and have just had so many amazing learning opportunities, both in the immediate space of the village farm as well as with our community partnerships.
I heard about the farm probably about 8 years ago, and I came out here once and I thought, and I watched what was going on with the programs, and I'm a retired educator, school psychologist, counselor, and I just love working with kids and like being outdoors. I love to see them excited and enjoying learning, and I love to be able to contribute to that. And I always look forward to that every week when I come out here.
What keeps me ticking is giving young people an opportunity to do more than they ever thought was possible for themselves and for their families. For them to find a place where they can live healthy and happy lives, and to give them an experience that no one can ever take away from them. We do all these camps and outdoor adventures, and we're getting ready to take kids to the Grand Canyon, and it's an experience that they will have with them forever and always, and a place for them to go back to say, I felt nurtured and cared for and loved, and I could grow in that space. And that's what I want to do for my whole life. So that's what I want for young people.
We have little sticks in the ground that'll say the type, like this is black magic, and then some more red Russian. I really want to go into nutrition education, helping younger kids discover what I discovered when I was their age. Learn about your environment, learn about your food system, what's around you, and growing food, not only does it taste better, but it makes you feel better.
If you would like more information about Tucson Village Farm and how you can get involved, check out tucsonvillagefarm.arizona.edu. For an amazing 25 years, Makeway for Books has been promoting literacy in our community. Now they've designed an exciting new app to captivate the next generation of readers. We join Professor Stephanie Permain's English class as they team up with Makeway for Books to dive into the world of children's publishing.
So at Makeway for Books, our mission is to give all children the chance to read and succeed. This is actually our 25-year anniversary this year, and we've been working to ensure that young children and their parents, the adults around them, have all of the tools that they need so that children can start school ready to read. We received feedback from families that they wanted to continue being in our programs or continue having more access to that type of content. So it was thought that by developing something like an app, we might be able to make these resources available. It's an early literacy app designed for families with little ones ages 0 to 5. And we're here today because we've developed this really beautiful collaboration with the University of Arizona.
So thrilled with Makeway for Books and this collaboration that we've done.
About 30,000 people are impacted every year by the work that Makeway for Books does. You know, their goal is to provide literacy skills at that point when kids have, you know, the best benefit from it. So early on, providing them the tools that will help them really succeed throughout their life.
One of the most important ways that we work to achieve our mission is by giving families, like I said, lots of books. We want to give them access to books. That's a real core piece of what we do. And the app is a really important element of that.
Have you ever considered putting books like online through as well? Because I know
389 is an introduction to publishing in the children's and young adult market.
And we developed this idea that students that are in her publishing class might be able to develop original manuscripts. And since they come from such a variety of backgrounds, they really bring a whole lot in terms of their own personal experiences, their own kind of diverse backgrounds.
For the first 8 weeks of the semester, they're focused on just picture books. They're learning the form. They go through brainstorming, you know, they kind of group up with what do we want to write about? What have you been seeing, you know, in what you've been reading? And so they go through that. They go through a series of peer reviews. I give them feedback. We go through numerous drafts, and they're creating their own stories.
So getting to work kind of like hands-on, actually read like query letters, write query letters, like that sort of thing, go through reading, actually line editing, that all really was interesting to me, and I felt that was useful to my overall career in general.
So what you are going to help us do through this collaboration is help us to create original books that really do have a real, tangible impact, a lasting impact in our community.
Jose, who's now running the app at Makeway for Books, he started off in my 389 class. So it's kind of cool to see that come full circle.
It almost feels like it needs to be 2 illustrations.
Mm-hmm. Getting to actually go to the story sprint and work on that like process of actually sitting there with editors and illustrators and fixing it, like go down to lines, actually figuring out what this is supposed to be. I found that to be perhaps the most hands-on part.
She did great work in that class, but then to have her come in and now do this and see how much she's grown as a student and as a writer, it was great.
I got to speak with the illustrator, read my story to her.
My mother told me when I was a baby that it was clear and it would change colors as I grew.
Speaking with the editors, they would read it, kind of give me feedback on maybe what I could fix.
So I think you're on something there. Kids know feelings.
And then it was awesome. I was just redrafting like right there.
For a college student to be able to say, I've got a publication, it's a really great experience.
You don't have a lot of experience just getting your work out there, and so that was really awesome. And they were also kind, and helpful.
You got to see when her artist, you know, turned it around and her face like, oh my gosh, like this is my story. So it's been great, you know, and I love the continuity that I get with some of these students.
It really gave me a way to see into what this process could look like on like a larger scale, not just working for like children's books necessarily, and make sure that this is good to like put out into the world.
But then after that, we publish them, we illustrate them, and make them available bilingually on the app for free so that families anywhere can use them.
And every semester, I think it just keeps getting better. There's a lot of adults who have young children who don't know how to interact with books and with their children, and that's really what the app is meant for. It's not meant to be handed off as entertainment, but rather how can we learn and read this together.
And it's grown along with our family education and literacy programming, kind of hand in hand, really, because the app is trying to replicate that experience or provide more of that.
And so for students to realize how much you can do with not a lot of effort, and the more people that are stronger readers, critical thinkers, the stronger our community is as a whole.
Splinter Collective is a housing and community gathering space located between the Barrio, Anita, and Dunbar Spring neighborhood. It's also adjacent to Estevan Park, which in recent years has become the nexus of an encampment for individuals in our community experiencing homelessness. In this next continuation of our series, Where to Live, we'll show you how Splinter Collective is trying a bottom-up strategy by envisioning what a community-based response might look like, by building relationships, offering humane services, and treating those experiencing homelessness as fellow neighbors rather than trespassers.
Estevan Park is located in the Dunbar Spring/Barrio Anita neighborhood in Tucson, Arizona. People run and exercise there. The rugby team practices there and has matches there. So it's a pretty active park. I think it's just got the visual realities of what's going on with the housing crisis right now. My name is Natalie Brewster-Wynn. Most people call me Nat, and I am the founder and one of the co-executive directors of Splinter Collective. Our official nonprofit name is the Splinter Art and Community Fund. Splinter Collective is a number of things, but it is a physical space, so it's an art studio, warehouse, and event space. And we primarily work on events and artistic endeavors that amplify marginalized voices and experiences. And we're in an industrial area. It's kind of this little triangle right on the train tracks and adjacent to Estevan Park. To me, everything is an ecosystem. We can't separate ourselves out from what's happening around us. And we are in the middle of a bunch of different resources. The Caridad Community Kitchen, a bunch of churches that do soup kitchens and food pantries, the Salvation Army. And so you have people gathering where there are some resources available. Estevan Park is very much one of the most impacted parks by the rising levels of houseless folks. We've always had a large houseless population around here, but of course, COVID happened, economic crisis happened, and at the end of 2021, when we were looking at the end of the eviction moratorium, was when I was really like, okay, we have to get super serious about this because we are about to face a huge wave of evictions and this population growing even more. And one of the things that we noticed as that year progressed is that the city came in and locked all the public bathrooms because it was a health crisis. And I understand, nobody really knew what we were dealing with, but for various reasons, the city did not reopen the bathrooms. And so we started thinking, well, we want the park to be available and safe for everybody, housed and unhoused. Our philosophy around the encampment was keep people in one place. They will be more able to access services that the city is trying to offer and other nonprofits are trying to offer. So part of the negotiation that I started doing around Estevan Park with the city was we started something called the Bathroom Access Coalition. We trained up some of our staff and they gave us a contract of $75,000 to pay people from the neighborhood or from our organization to go to the park, to clean the bathroom, to stock the bathroom, to pick up the trash around the park. So it was an experiment of how as a community organization, can we participate? But then pretty much without warning, the city came and swept the camp.
Dozens of people are out on city streets after being removed from their encampment in Midtown. It's the latest development as Tucson leaders work to clean up homeless camps, and that effort is coming with pushback. The city says 80 people... I walked out of my house later that morning, and the camp basically just moved from the park
to the street. So it's just all over this neighborhood, all in the wash here, everything like that. So then the encampment was outside my front door.
You can't miss the dozens of tents lining the street. Residents tell me that this encampment popped up right after Estevan Park was cleared out last week. Mari Vasquez,
After the sweep, we were about halfway through that project, or that initial year-long contract. So it's pretty disappointing to feel like we made some of this, what felt like real progress, and then that just kind of all got like pulled out from under us. One of the things we've been thinking a lot about is like, how can we continue the heart and soul of this mission and this purpose, which is to be in partnership with this public park. We recently had a coalition dinner as well as a close neighbors meeting, so we canvassed the neighborhood to come to Splinter for this dinner and to just give us their feedback, to talk about what's going on, and for us to explain to them what we're trying to do and what our mission is here.
Hi neighbors, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for being here. I see more folk here. My name's Tania Arballo. I'm one of the project managers with the Estevan Park project. And the whole essence of today's meeting is for us as neighbors. We all share this park. Alrighty. So like I was saying, we all share this park, right? This park connects all the barrios, Anita, Dunbar, Blue Moon. And really the essence of this meeting is to really, for us to get to know each other, first of all, for us to start building community amongst each other. Also to understand how we want Estevan's future to look. Specifically, we are embarking on a beautification project of Estevan Park, so we definitely would love to hear support.
Estevan Park Community Partnership formed initially literally just out of wanting to keep the bathroom open. It has become so many other things.
We want to bridge those gaps between us, right? Like as people who are doing the work and a lot of times on the ground and with the neighbors. And we want to make sure that we are able to, come together when there's such a huge housing crisis, houseless crisis going on right now. The truth is that
I really hope that we can kind of move into a new phase of this, really kind of give the park a facelift and then be in that space and use that space as a point of community connection and a place to have these conversations.
Neighbors, because a lot of anti-gentrification and a lot of keeping our neighborhoods intact is how do we be good neighbors? How do we be good relatives? How do we acknowledge our place in space and hold that? To me, that's the place that the park project, what it is doing functionally, is that it's grounding us in this place, in this space, and we get to say, this is our space as a community. What do we want it to look like? And how do we take care of it? And how do we take care of each other?
Even though we've really struggled with certain aspects of it, I would call this project a success in the sense that it's a way of investigating and getting information about like what works and what doesn't, what's possible and what's pretty hard unless you have like a lot of capacity. I really hope that other people can be inspired to like take a shot, try something. It's about being civically engaged with your neighbors, being part of the solution, being part of building and creating and sustaining a more liberatory world. Like we have to be in this together.
Artists by nature push the envelope, and it's exciting to see how modern-day photography has expanded its horizons when it comes to space and subject matter and process. The Contemporary Photography exhibition at the Tucson Museum of Art beckons you to discover this dynamic world, showcasing the distinctive visions of current photographers.
Photography has become so important as a medium. It's not a standalone, it's an integral part of the contemporary art expression and experience. The camera itself has changed over time. The fact that everything can be digital, that some of it can never see the interface of a real camera, so to speak, has changed everything in terms of what is acceptable and what isn't. And in that way, it also has increased the innovation and the imagination. What you see with this selection is a bit of a variety of not only the techniques involved, but also what the artists are having to say. For instance, if you look at Benjamin Timpson's work, he's taking properly sourced butterfly wings, photographing them on a light table, and creating these wonderful compositions based on a sketch that he has done. What you're seeing then is a photograph of these kind of collages made out of butterfly wings. But what he's saying is something that's much, not more profound, but something profound out of something of beauty. He's addressing a crisis that's happening in certain cultural communities, but he's doing it in a way that implies a sense of hope, that there's some dignity in the situation and that there can be redemption. He's also working with crisis intervention organizations, so he gets individual personalized stories of these women. And then it's a way of telling the story, but in a way that's beautiful, with nature involved and a sense of hope. Mark Klett, for a while, worked with the U.S. Geological Survey, and he found some tremendous beauty not only in the landscape, but he also decided to make a reference to the idea of how the landscape can be timeless, but then how it also changes over time. He looked at some of the early Geological Survey photographers and decided to set his tripod with a certain kind of algorithm in the same exact spot where the Geological Survey photographers photographed. Something completely different. It's not about the people, but it is about the people. Without people, there's no memory. Kate Brakey did a series called Small Deaths. And Small Deaths was really a kind of a nostalgic reverie about all the many animals that die in the desert that we never know about. It was a way of commemorating their death and saying, I see you, I feel you, and I remember you. So in a way, it's like a memento mori. One that's maybe not quite so much about hope, but about memory and about documenting one's life would be Paho Man. And what he did was he photographed every single thing in his apartment to make a mention about how insignificant our things are and consumerism. It's a way of saying, this is my life. Of course, each one has this different take. Using a new digital technology is Judy Miller. What she did was she photographed at wax museums, just the wax sculptures, and then later went to different places like libraries and botanical gardens and historic homes all over the country. She sutured in the image of the person in these unlikely backgrounds, not where they were meant to be. And by doing that, she's kind of created altered realities. These are some large-scale photographs that have a lot to say, and each one of these has that. It's a layer of visual and aesthetic enjoyment, but at the same time, there's a deeper message if you'll spend the time to look at it.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara, and we'll see you next week with another all-new episode. Hi, I'm Tom McNamara, host of Arizona Illustrated. Thank you for watching this entire episode of our show here on YouTube. And if you liked it, well, here's another episode that we think you'll like.